The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another excellent edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, and squeezably soft host. As always, we like to come to you at this time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
So, what do we have going on today? Well, of course, a lot of action over the weekend. Currently, we're at 29.97 on the S&P cash, which is down about 10 points on the S&P cash. Dow's at down 135, NASDAQ's off 24, Russell's up about 8.6. And you got a lot of cross currents moving in the markets, but we'll try to unpack it today. Of course, we had a drone attack. The U.S. government said that they had some AWACS planes up in the Gulf and witnessed the drones going from Iran to the Saudis' oil complex. We have a thing called AWACS, which is a plane that has a giant radar dome on the top. And just because we've got a carrier group in there, we've got one of those things up. And for the most part, if it's not coming at the carrier group, they just record all the data. And, of course, it took them a little bit of time. They weren't looking for an attack somewhere else. They're basically making sure that they don't get attacked by the Iranians. Anyway, apparently this AWACS plane, from what I could read, saw the tracks of the drones going across and into the Saudis' territory. Didn't ever make a lot of sense that the Yemeni, actually were able to ever make any drones. Now, the Iranians could have given them some drones, but that's always kind of iffy because these people, well, if you read much about Yemen, it's kind of just out of the Stone Age. It never really developed much, didn't have any oil, so had all the standard problems of any third world country without a lot of natural resources. And, of course, run by people that are religious, mentally unstable. But you've got all the makings of something going on. I wasn't thinking that we'd have any kind of military action that involved the United States, not until we get a new moon. One of the things that came out of the first and second Gulf War was if you're going to use stealth airplanes, you use them when the moon is not out. And, of course, when does the Iranians want to poke us in the eye? Well, that's when the moon is out there full. So if we retaliate, they at least have a fighting chance. Well, you always want to bring the fight when you're ready, not when they're ready. Something will happen, but my guess is that we're going to run this much more like the first Gulf War, and that is that we'll have some kind of coalition, probably the Israelis, because they know that the Iranians are a bunch of whack jobs that run the country, and they want to get rid of the nukes, and, of course, the Saudis want to get rid of the mullahs just because they've been a thorn in their sides forever. Now, why did this all come along? Well, if you haven't been watching world events, Putin basically got kicked out of the local elections in Moscow last week. He's slowly starting to lose grip. And what do? Especially when the same thing's happening in Iran? Well, you start a war and get a somebody that you really makes you mad, and that's someone that's probably bombing you. My guess is that both of these folks would love to have an enemy to point to as the local citizenry hate more and more their guts. So we may see more of a CIA operation than an all-out military one. But if it does come to shooting, my guess is that we see the Israelis in a very quiet operation in cahoots with the Saudis to go in there and clean up Dodge. But again, most of the stuff and the equipment we have made to be used in the dead of night. We own the night, except when the moon is out. So if we're looking for anything right away, I don't see it. But we're basically at the full moon, around the full moon right now. And more than likely, unless you get a giant sandstorm that runs across Iran or you get inclement weather, clouds that can cover up that at high altitudes that the planes can fly through, probably not going to see much of anything. So hold your breath. If there's something coming, more than likely it's about 15, 14 days away. And so we'll just put that and start thinking about that for the end of the month. But generally, if you're a military leader, you want to set the terms of the battle. Don't let your opponents do it. And I don't think we're going to do anything rash in the near time. Now, on Friday, I was talking about the Baker Hughes numbers and said that what we do is be short. I didn't have any idea that, we'd get a 10% move in the price of crude in the United States, much less what crude is selling for overseas. But generally, surprises happen in the direction of the market. And why I always say kind of sell when you can, not when you have to. You don't want to be overstaying your welcome too long, even if you leave some money on the table. Probably the thing that hurts worse than anything, even losing in a trade, is that leaving money on the table. But that pain set you up for massive losses later on. And don't be the last one to the party if there's any good advice in the stock market. So we're going to keep an eye on this. We got a lot of other stuff going on. Had some questions already about Lyft and Uber. We'll talk about that. Mine's more of a fundamental argument than a short-term technical argument, but we'll talk about that today. Why don't we do a little history, and then we'll move on in the next segment.
And it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
On this day in 1908, Buick Motor Company head William Crapo Durant, I changed that middle name, spends $2,000 to incorporate General Motors. He used to be a sergeant in New Jersey. Durant, high school dropout, made his fortune building horse-drawn carriages. And in fact, he hated cars. He thought they were noisy, smelly, and dangerous. Nevertheless, the giant company he built would dominate the American auto industry for decades to come. And of course, today they refused, or at least over the weekend, refused a great contract that both Ford and Chrysler jumped on with the UAW, but some reason didn't like it when it came to General Motors. Hard to tell. It looked like a very decent offer from General Motors, but we'll find out probably a little bit later why they rejected it. I don't hear anything. Is there anything out there? There we go. Starting to hear some music. Anyway, we'll be back in a minute.
If you're not currently using the TAS Profile Scanner when looking at setting up your trading opportunities, then your arsenal is short a mighty weapon. The TAS Profile Scanner is a standalone piece of software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Headed by Steve Dahl, TAS understands that in today's technological world, the use of top-flight software applications and technical analysis expertise is essential to successful trading in today's market. You also gain access to the webinar that Steve Dahl and Tom O'Brien just hosted, The Best Way to Use the TAS Profile Scanner to Profit. This webinar archive is available for all subscribers immediately upon signing up. All new subscriptions also come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. Start your subscription by visiting the front page of TFNN.com today, and you'll find the TAS Profile Scanner under the Services tab. Sign up today. Are you in the market for buying or selling real estate in the Bay Area, including the surrounding St. Petersburg, Tampa, and Clearwater markets? Tiger Real Estate LLC is a firm that has extensive experience in the Tampa Bay area. Whether you're looking to sell your current property for maximum value, or you're in the market for a second home or investment property, Tiger Realty has the experience across all areas of real estate in the Tampa Bay area to help buyers and sellers make the most informed decisions across all price levels. From the price you should be paying per square foot in certain up-and-coming areas to the type of cash flow investment properties are capable of creating, Tiger Real Estate can help you make the best decision when it comes to all areas of the market. Before you make one of the biggest decisions of your financial future, call Tiger Real Estate LLC today at 727-329-8322 or email us at tiger@tfnn.com. That's 727-329-8322. Call us today.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
TFNN has launched our brand new website. You can still visit us at the same TFNN.com URL, but when you do, you'll see a new and improved homepage with a much simpler navigation, whether you're watching Tiger TV live in high definition or just accessing your newsletter subscriptions. We even have new pricing in 6 months and yearly options. Check out the new TFNN.com now and experience all the upgrades. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
We had a question in the den earlier. I'm going to give more of a fundamental, although I will give a technical outlook on Lyft and Uber. Both Lyft and Uber have a real problem in California, and that is that they passed a law, and I think it's getting signed this week. It'll go into effect 1st of January. And that is that all the drivers of Uber and Lyft will have to be treated as normal employees, whether or not they even get the 30 hours a week in there. That means that they'll have to do health care and retirement and all kinds of other stuff, which is going to kill Lyft and Uber. The whole what they call the gig economy, GIG, is kind of up for grabs in California now. Lyft and Uber both said that they're going to fund a proposition, but that proposition won't even be able to get to the ballot till November of next year during the presidential election, where it may even get buried in all the hoopla about the president being elected. So I'm not a big fan of these companies and think that there may be extreme more damage as more states around the union decide to do the same thing. There is a bill that looks like it's going to come out in the next 2 to 4 weeks in the New York State Congress, Senate, whatever they have up there. That's basically the same thing, talking about Massachusetts and other states like New Jersey doing the same thing. The reason is that these people that were 1099 are not paying their taxes. And of course, California loves everything until they can't tax it. And so they passed this bill so that they could make sure and get all their cash. And of course, kind of waited until the IPO went through, so they can't say that they don't have the cash to do it. The question is whether or not they'll ever become profitable now on both of them if this continues to spread. My guess is that the proposition probably won't get too far. And you've got to look at Lyft and Uber as companies that won't be able to hire part-time people and not pay taxes or collect taxes, do all the other stuff that they've had to do in the past. So I am fundamentally thinking, unless something drastically changes, that both Lyft and Uber may be the biggest failed IPOs of the 2020 season, especially if we get any kind of pullback whatsoever. Technically, we had a monstrous sell off the August 8th high in Lyft. That was at $65.92, down to the $43.41 low on September 10th. We've had a minor bounce back into the trading range. That 47.17 of May 13 puts that back in the trading range by a little bit. But my guess is there are so many other stocks giving wonderful signals. I hate to think about why I would be in these things right now. But for the most part, kind of dead cat bounces. Uber, no signal at all, just sideways action. Pretty much is stuck at these levels. But again, I would imagine that if I was on Wall Street looking at this and maybe having a huge amount of cash because I was an early investor, I'd be doing everything I could get out. The one thing you don't want to be involved in, of course, is legal action, especially the kind that's all around Uber and Lyft right now. Other companies facing the long arm of the law is Apple. Apple this week is probably going to get a referendum on its tax issues that they ran in Ireland, or ran their scam out of Ireland. Probably the biggest thing that has me wound up is how big a huge, miserable skunk and vermin that the CEO of Apple is on telling everybody why there should be higher taxes in the United States, why he owes some 13 billion to in euros that he won't pay, or won't avoid, trying to do everything he can to avoid it. So apparently taxes are all good for people in the United States, but bad for people in the EU. But it's the same thing. Warren Buffett was running around saying how his secretary paid more than he did. And, of course, he had, at the time, some $3.5 billion of outstanding taxes that he wasn't going to pay, and spend every dime that he could in lawyers and avoiding it. So, yeah, do as I say, not as I do, kind of that. But a lot of hypocrisy over the last few days kind of had me riled up, and my blood pressure a little higher this morning. But this referendum is on some other companies that are smaller. But when the EU decides that this week, we might see that Apple is far from tax-free in the Eurozone in the years to come. And why it's probably not going to be a big issue, could it lop off $20 instantly? No. Over time, I suspect, as they start showing that they're paying $2 to $5 billion a year in taxes to the EU zone, and right now doing everything in the world to avoid them, why they tell people in the United States why they should pay more. So I will give the Vermin and Weasel Award to the CEO of Apple today. So what else do we have going on? Those are the things that I wanted to get off my chest today. We're basically kind of hanging out at this 10 points lower. A close below 3,000 on the S&P cash would probably take us to about 2960. It's not that much, 40 points down. Could we be there in a day or a day and a half? I think we can. But my guess is that we continue to see a slow sell-off into the FOMC meeting. Volume is going to be light. In fact, we've had some fairly light selling, but we even have lighter buying today. A lot of the volume comes in heavy spurts, but it's turned into places where we have incredible vapor volume in the market. And, you know, you go down 2 points, get a lot of volume and everybody buys. You get go up a couple points, everybody sells. About 4.7 billion shares on the consolidated tape from the CBOE. If you want a link to that, if you're new to the show, just email me at path@tfnn.com, and I will be able to shoot that link off to you. But they show all the volume torn up in tape A, B, and C. And, of course, tape A and B are the Amex, and the New York Stock Exchange. Tape C ends up being the NASDAQ. We'll talk more about this when we return. I've got a lot of charts I want to go through, and one of the reasons why I'm not jumping up and down to buy stuff right now, a lot of these charts don't look good. We'll be back in a minute. Go through them.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN, and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now.
Hi folks, Tom O'Brien here. If you'd like to get my daily newsletter, Market Insights, then now is a great time to sign up for a 30-day free trial. Every morning by 9:30, I send out my morning letter to subscribers with market commentary on a variety of markets, currencies, and commodities to keep investors up to date on the day's trading action. Included in Market Insights are specific buy and sell recommendations for stocks, ETFs, and even options, with stops and price targets included for every trade in my newsletter. If you'd like to try my newsletter risk-free for 30 days, then head over to the front page of TFNN and you'll find Market Insights under Trading Newsletters. I use my years of trading experience to bisect and dissect the market every morning and give my subscribers the most important information they need to know for the day ahead. I even issue afternoon updates to my subscribers whenever warranted with important market action. I'm always scouring the market for the next great trading opportunity. Sign up for your 30-day free trial to my daily newsletter, Market Insights, today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Wow! Go get them, folks!
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Okay, we're going to try to go through as many of these stocks as we can. You can give me a call at 877-927-6648 or email me at path@tfnn.com. Those that have listened for a while will be familiar with this, and that is at certain times in the market, especially when there's going to be huge divergence in the market, we see a lot of stocks that have and are building rather significantly bearish or bullish patterns in the market. Archer Daniels Midland, about 3.7 million shares on Friday compared to the 5.5 million shares on July 12th at the 41.85, hanging up there. You may get a little bit farther in the 42.50 area with that, but not a lot of juice. Not horrible, but not a lot of juice. Bristol Myers Squibbs broke through the 49.37 high of May 1st that had 18 million shares with 9 million shares on Friday. Beazer Homes, another one I wanted to keep a close eye on. When we look at this one, May 3rd, $14.37, a little over 1 million shares. 600,000 shares on Friday. Again, these things going to need some juice, and I mean right now, to get through these highs. So if these things do not break out on Wednesday after the FOMC meeting, you need to start writing these down and look at them. Another one in this food sector is ConAgra Foods. 5.9 million shares back on April 25th at $30.85. You got to $30.57 today with 2.4 million shares. On Friday, you had 3.6 million shares, but still very short of that April 25th high. CBT, which is Cabot Energy Company, hit to the July 1st high at $48.63 with 340,000 shares, about the same on this one. Actually, a little bit more on the top, so you may want to look at that. You might see a lot of people on the wrong side and the squeeze come out of that. Celgene, another biotech company, testing its previous high. So let's call it 6.8 million shares on June 21st. $98.97 with 6.8 million shares. Got into it on Friday with 4 million shares. So we're not seeing a lot of push to the highs in a doji today. So these are some fairly bearish patterns. I know it's going into the FOMC, but we got to keep close eye on it. Carlyle Group, CG is the symbol on this one, spiked a 5 million share high on July 31st at 25.52, got to 26.18 on Friday, did so with just 1.1 million shares. Today, just 900,000 shares so far as it tries to hang above those highs. CHWY, which is Chewy, is one of the bullish stocks down here, testing the July 23rd low, $29.03 with 5.3 million shares. Got into that with 2.2 million shares on the 12th. Today got down into it. You got about 2 million shares and a little bit of a reversal. CMP, which is Compass Minerals, is very interesting. Had this huge destruction going back on October 23rd of 2018. Just miserable. Looks like it lost, what, $65 to $42 in a couple of days, with some fairly massive volume also back in those. You're coming back to that gap. You've hit it 3 times. But you've gone from 1.5 million shares to 700,000 shares to 300,000 shares, and you came in with about 300,000 shares right at that same $58 level. You want to keep a very close eye on Compass Minerals. But, you know, if you got a couple bucks more, there's a double gap right there at about 62. Volume still doesn't come in. That may be a perfect short opportunity. DHT Holdings, $6.22 with 1.7 million shares on July 24th. And he spiked that today with 2 million shares, but could not hold that high. ELF, Elf Beauty. I don't know how many elves are actually beautiful or why you would call yourself Elf Beauty. Hopefully it's an abbreviation. Hopefully that's not the name you put out on the front of your store. But that being said, you gapped up on the 10th of July, did so with 1.9 million shares. Back into that today with 210,000 shares. These beauty, if this is what it is, have been under pressure since Amazon said they were going after these beauty pageant stores, and Ulta Salon also the same kind of thing. In-phase energy, a little bounce today from being part of the energy sector, but not much in the way of juice. This gapped up on the 31st of July with 22 million shares, filled it with 17 million shares on Thursday, little 6 million and 6.5 million day on Friday. Little tombstone out here, doesn't look like it's done quite yet. EWT, which is the Taiwan Index Fund. This thing's at highs, but didn't have the juice. Last time we were up here was May 3rd at $36.50. 7.2 million shares. Got into it on a Friday with 4.4 million shares. Today kind of hanging out with about 1.7 million shares. Again, the next couple of days are going to be incredibly important in these stocks that are hitting massive resistance levels. Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, GT the symbol, got down on July 26th, did so with about 13 million shares, got into it on Friday with 4.8 million shares, got 2.8 million shares so far, but bouncing off that resistance level. What else do we have? Hercules Technology, Growth Capital Incorporated, HTGC. 700,000 shares back on May 10th, and a little doji up here at $13.44. Back into the trading range you go. No suit for you. IWB, the Russell I shares. When we see this one, you did get up to the highs. This is the more, not the 2,000, but the Russell 1,000. Energy wasn't all that exciting off the August 5th low. Got up here with 1 million shares, not as bad as one would think. But again, even today, the Russell's been the strong man of the group. The insurance companies, this is the KIE, had a very nice July 29th, $35.16 high with 4 million shares. Got into it on Friday with just 242,000 shares. So fairly light juice out here, back into the trading range today. KKR and Company, KKR is the symbol, broke out with 3.6 million shares, which was light compared to the July 25th high at 27.63. Opened higher, closed lower on Friday. Kind of just hanging out here today. Any close below 27.63 is a false breakout. And okay, we also have Kohl's. This retail sector, clothing retail sector, continues to look fairly weak. Doesn't seem to be getting any better on most of these. Kohl's got into $54.86 back on July 31st with 5.7 million shares. Only got 3 million shares on Friday into 54.20, so couldn't break the high. Got into it with less than half the volume and a little pullback here. Energy off the low, not all that exciting. Going to break. We'll be back in a minute.
If you're in the CD market and looking for a secure investment, the Tiger First Mortgage Program may work for you. The security for these first mortgages are building lots in the Tax Opportunity Zone in St. Petersburg, Florida. The Tax Act of 2018 set up tax-free zones across the country where you can build and hold for 10 years and pay no tax on the profits, which makes these lots valuable. The investment is anywhere from $30,000 to $75,000. The interest paid is 7% yearly, paid on a monthly basis. According to Bankrate.com, the best rate for a 4-year CD in the country as of February 20th is 3.1%. A $50,000 investment at a normal 4-year CD rate of 3.1% would give you income of $1,550 per year or $6,200 over the 4-year period. That same $50,000 investment in the Tiger First Mortgage Program would give you $3,500 per year or $14,000 over the 4 years. Which would you prefer, $6,200 or $14,000 of interest on your investment? If you would like more information about the Tiger First Mortgage Program, you can call me at 877-518-9190. That's 877-518-9190.
If you haven't checked out the newsletters page of TFNN.com, what are you waiting for? All of the TFNN newsletters are informative, up-to-date, affordable, and a must-have for every trader looking to gain a competitive informational edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets to offer you the very latest in market news. Plus, new subscribers get to test drive our newsletters risk-free for 30 days. From all aspects of the markets, including stocks, bonds, metals, commodities, and tech, there's a newsletter to fit your needs exclusively from TFNN. Stay informed each day you trade and get that competitive edge that will help you stay ahead of the game. Visit our newsletters page by going to TFNN.com and click the newsletters button near the top of the page. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Are China A shares hot or not? If you trade China A shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A Share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Onto as many stocks as we can get to today. Lattice Semiconductor. LSCC spiked the August 1st high at $20.90. That had 6.4 million shares, got into it on Friday with 1.7 million shares, back in the trading range today. Love, Southwest Airlines, beating against this gap down that goes back to the 20th of February with 12 million shares, got into it with 8.7 million shares on July 25th and gave it up. Got into it with 4.4 million shares on Friday and rotated and opened up down this morning. But since it's mostly a U.S. airline and we have plenty of fuel thanks to current policies in the United States, just think how different it would have been if we didn't have all that fuel and oil now. And gas or crude was $100 and went up $20 or $30 today. And just a thought. Anyway, drill, baby, drill. Okay, what else do we have? Anyway, everybody kind of open much lower, kind of rotated out, but you are at a very strong resistance level. MDB has had a fairly decent short squeeze. We've talked about this the last couple of days. People were piling on. You gapped up on March 14th with 10.5 million shares. Got into it with Friday with 2.7 million shares. And me, like a dope, I didn't buy it, but I should have looked at it. I was hoping to get down to 115, but that may be good all you get on MongoDB. A lot of shorts in that, so keep an eye on it. Most people don't get that anymore. Macrogenetics, a very interesting pattern. This is exactly what you're looking for if you're a Wyckoff style trader, and that's a huge gap, a pullback to fill that gap on a huge pullback, which you've gotten. I mean, you're down here with 600,000 shares compared to gaps up with, what was it, 1 million and 3.7 million is the big one up there. So 600, 400,000 shares out here is about what you're looking for. A nice run to $26. I'd have to, since this is a genetic stock, you got to kind of dig in a lot deeper to what's going on in that. But that's the chart pattern you're looking for. May not be the pattern that we're seeing in the IBB, which has me worried. Monroe Buffalo Brake Company. Well, if you're talking about something actually giving a fairly decent bullish signal, probably not a lot of money in it, but guess what? July 22nd, $74.86, 430,000 shares down today with 102,000 shares into that low. Friday, 181,000. Day before that, just 200,000 shares against that 430,000 share low. The energy off this August 6th high, very light. And of course, with a lot of cars on the road aging, probably not a bad business to be in, especially if the economy pulls back. More people are going to be driving older cars. Mile and another biotech. This one going through the $21.88 July 29th high of $21.88. 61 million shares, got into it with 5.4 million shares on Friday. Back into the trading range. The energy off this August 7th low was pathetic up to this 22.90 high. So again, the IBB, which I thought would be the sector one, the sector rotation, continues to have real problems, mostly because the political talk of going in there and telling them what they can and can't charge for their product. Pacific Premier Bank Corp. Seeing a few of these financial stocks up here on light volume, but you want to see what happens after the FOMC meeting. PPBI, the symbol on this, 560,000 shares July 31st. On Friday, you had 389. Today, just 217,000. So watch that. PPG, which is, of course, a lot of stuff. Come on. There we go. Not doing well on the strike. Today. Of course, they make windshields and paint and a bunch of other stuff for cars. Down today, but not much in the way of volume. Support comes in at about 113. But man, you were going against a 3.75 million share high at $120.25 back on April 18th. And you got into that on Friday with 843,000 shares. Into that candle, never made it to the high. You were about 30 cents short. But there wasn't any juice and no room at the end. You can call me at 877-927-6648. October 19th of 2018, Phillips 66 gap down with 4 million shares. Finally back into that gap, trying to fill it today. We've got about 2.4 million shares so far. So watch how that comes in at the end of the day. But if you were thinking short, these sector, probably not in the next couple of days, but if this all blows over, it goes away, you're against fairly strict or very harsh resistance levels in that one. Region Financials, another one testing previous highs on half the volume. If you go back to March 1st, $16.41 with 22 million shares, got into it on Friday with 9.9 million shares today. A little bit of lower and then up, but just 5 million shares so far. Royal Gold out here testing its gap higher that goes back to the 7th of August. You had 991,000 shares on that on Friday, 623,000 shares. Today, you just got 472,000 shares. It may try to get back down to this 118 gap. That gap goes back to the 5th of August. So keep an eye on that. ROK, are you okay? Well, it's ROK, Rockwell Automation. And this one is testing the July 24th high at 168.72 that had 1.9 million shares. Tested it Friday with just 997,000 shares. Little doji out here today with 660,000 shares. Any kind of move and gap lower tomorrow is problematic for a lot of these stocks that I'm showing. So keep an eye on it. 29.98 on the S&P cash. So we'll keep an eye on that. Volume just a little over 5 billion shares. Okay, Reliance Steel and Aluminum tested its previous July 26 spike high 104.65 with 800,000 shares on Friday with 281,000 shares. Back into the trading range for you. And the Soup Nazi says, no soup for you. RSP, which is this is maybe the most important chart we show today. This is the equal weight S&P. 110.24, which is the July 24th high. That had 1.2 million shares. Got into it on Friday with just 283,000 shares. So very light volume and the equal weight R and RSP. Energy off the low about, I'm going to say off about 15-20% from the last leg down. We'll be back in a minute, wrap up the show.
I'm certain you are or strive to be one of the best at everything you do in life. It's the most common trait that we tigers and tigresses share. If you're looking to become the best of the best when it comes to managing your money, let me teach you to do what most wealth managers tell you can't be done, which is how to time the markets. I'm Steve Rhodes, author of Mastering Probability, and for the last 12 months, Timer Digest has been tracking my newsletter signals, which have earned me the ranking as their #1 market timer in the nation for the S&P 500 for the last 12, 6, and 3 months. Timer Digest also ranks me as the #1 market timer for gold as well. The fact is, markets can be timed, and I'll teach you the exact set of tools that I use that has transformed me into one of the best at what I do. Sign up for Mastering Probability today by clicking on the newsletter tab on the homepage of TFNN.com and get immediate access to workshops where I take you step by step how to use an extraordinary set of tools as well as provide great market calls too. Sign up today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today. Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And we're back. We'll keep a close eye on here. Volume, not blowout. Certainly 5.2 billion shares as we exit the last segment of the show. We've got to watch very closely into this close. Anything really under 3,000 probably gets you a pullback to 29.60 on the cash, which is not a whole lot. It's not the end of the world, nor would it make any signals in my book. But I think we go into the FOMC meeting, a few other issues out here, shoes to drop. More tankers being caught today, down just a little bit because we had so many stocks that popped and had some short squeezes in both the energy sector and the defense sector. And of course, make sure that Lockheed and a handful of these other guys that make drone downing equipment, microwave beam equipment, laser beams. all those kind of things. Probably going to do well. Probably going to sell a lot of that stuff to the Saudis here fairly quickly if other people don't make it. I think Israelis make some too. So going to be some arms sales, maybe even a lot of cruise missiles for sale here in the next couple of weeks. So those may continue. Now the question is going to be what the rest of the stocks that are more affected by higher fuel prices are going to do. We had a nice bounce, as we showed in Love, but over the next couple of days, going to be a much bigger issue. There's a great part in the Jesse Livermore book where there's a big earthquake in San Francisco and he shorts it, and no one sees what he sees, and that is that they won't be able to get any of their trains out there in 1907. He rakes it in big, but it took 4 days before everybody else here. These things just take time. In the meantime, sell when you can, not when you have to, and we'll see you here tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time.